In this next story from Batshit Crazy Land, from David Harris Jr., it says, shocking, California bill allows LGBTQTI plus TCBI to be people to have sex with minors, possibly avoid offender registry. Because in batshit crazy land, they just go for it. California, the once golden state, whose former governor Ronald Reagan was supported by Californians in both his presidential election, has done a neck-breaking U-turn since he left office in 1988 for various reasons such as illegal immigration, the internet, the state's Marxist education system, Hollywood, mainstream media's social connection, and skyrocketing cost of living has turned this once almost 100% red state from far left to a far left, financially and morally failing time bomb, which very few want to acknowledge. For more progressives relocated for jobs in Silicon Valley, to Hollywood trying to make it famous, and hippies and hopeless for extra benefits, and whether those people representing them at local, state, and national political offices changed dramatically too. Case in point, the once conservative-leaning California General Assembly, now comprised of a Democratic supermajority, and such their LGBTQTA, TCI, 2B, TCGB, 2B, 2B, beep, 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 beep. Man, you gotta try some of that beep, beep, beep shit, bro. That shit fuck you up, dog. Their members have promoted the homosexuality within the advanced state laws and regulating the pursuits of equality. What has considered off limits to the left, the 2020 Assembly has legislation that could ease the criminal punishment for LGBTQI, TCBP, 2B, plus people have sex with underage teenagers. Right. These people are fucking insane. What about the safety of our children and kids? The bill, SB 145, was introduced by State Senator Ron Scott Weiner, an openly gay man who seeks to prevent gay adults who sodomize or perform oral sex with teenagers from being automatically assigned to the California's sex offender registry, because this is what he would like to do. They're just going for it, bro. They're like, hey man, they're burning, they're looting, they're murdering. It's a black looter mob, dude. Let's just straight up go for it, dude. Start with the teens and then just take it down to 3 months. You're like, wow. These are the Democrats? Wow. In California, woo! Woo! Fruitcake! Fruitcake! Weiner also responsible for legislation that lowered criminal penalty for knowingly transmitting HIV from felony to a misdemeanor. Probably done it himself a couple times too. Legislation calls for a judge to use discretion on assigning an individual to the sex offender registry if their victim is between the ages of 14 and 17 and the age difference was less than 10 years. Bill passed the California state by 23-10 vote, passed the Assembly by a 41-18 vote. San Francisco Chronicle reported. So, me being the amateur constitutional law scholar that I am, I like to analyze this through the lens of the Constitution. This is the lens that I see. I see the red, white, and blue. I see the paper that the Constitution is written on and the other documents that were made at the time around it that support the original intent, as the Honorable Judge Antonin Scalia believed. And I was most of my life as a brainwashed, radicalized liberal, I hated Judge Scalia. because I hated how he ruled. I did not agree with it. I hated it. I did not understand why he voted that way. He voted that way because that's what the Constitution said. And the people who wrote the Constitution, that's what they meant, the original intent of the law. And Judge Antonin Scalia might have also, too, agreed with you, wanted it to be that way himself. But he would still rule against it based upon his interpretation of the Constitution, the Federalist Papers, the other supporting documentation. And once you come to that realization of Scalia, he is a very honorable judge. He's a good man. He's done a lot of good stuff for the courts. And you might not like everything that he's done, but it's true. So let's look at it through the lens of whether or not it's for reproductive purposes. So you have a right to reproduce. If you did not reproduce, you would die. So that's your right to reproduce is covered under the Constitution. So your right to have sex with a child, this is not covered in the Constitution. It is not for reproductive purposes. They cannot reproduce. So you have to draw an age limit there somewhere. You could say, well, you could put it at puberty. Well, most girls have hit puberty at different stages. It's okay. Where are you going to put that? Lower range. All right. So then you got to talk about child bribery. All right. So if a woman has a baby when they're too young, it can make them poor. So you're causing financial damages at a certain point. All right. So we've outlawed a case as to why you can't have sex with girls under puberty, and then there's some area where they're in child bribery, and then you can cause damages to them. All right. That's a legitimate case for where you should stick the statutory rape limit. So I'm in Oregon where the statutory age is 18. Go across the bridge in Washington, it's 16. So those two differences, yeah, you would say depends. Man and a woman, if they're for mating, if they're going to have a family, or then that would be fine. If it is a child bribery situation, you are causing injury. So in the case of this, looking at through the lens, we would say that this is not for reproductive purposes. We would say that this would be a situation that would be also akin to child bribery, and that it should not be illegal. That is my analysis through a constitutional lens. I think that it is I think most people would agree. This is a good interpretation of the Constitution. I typically give this quality of work when it comes to constitutional matters.